When you're out on a shoot, you need to feel comfortable controlling the camera. Sometimes setting the camera up in auto mode may make things easier, but auto mode may not give you the results you're after 100% of the time. For example, if you're shooting a scene where an actor walks into shot, the autofocus will focus once with the actor out of shot and then refocus when they appear in shot. To remedy this, you can set the focus manually and it will not change. To set the camera up in auto mode, set the focus to auto and then the auto lock switch into the auto position. This means everything is being taken care of automatically. If you want to use the camera in fully manual mode, you will need to set the auto lock switch to the middle position, set the focus to manual, iris, gain, shutter speed and white balance all have independent switches to toggle them into and out of auto mode. You can see if one of these controls is set to manual by looking at the LCD screen. If you see the icon on the screen, then you know that that control is in manual mode. Focus. Focus is one of the most important things to get right when filming. A soft focus cannot be fixed in post-production, so get it wrong here and that's that. To help you set the focus correctly, there are a couple of tools on the camera. Firstly, you can use the Push Auto button, which is located below the Auto Manual switch for focus. This temporarily uses the autofocus to focus the camera. Once the button is released, it's back to manual focus and there will be no change. The Expanded Focus button, which is next to the zoom lever, expands the image on the LCD screen so you can get a greater level of detail and focus with more precision. Finally, Peaking allows you to see a coloured line when something has a sharp focus. You can turn peaking on and off using the switch next to the battery at the rear of the camera. Filters. Different light sources produce different colours of light. Some may be warm and orange, and some may be cooler and blue. You need to adjust the white balance so that the camera sees the correct type of light. Two main types of light are sunlight and artificial light. If you're using just sunlight, you can set the white balance to outdoors. If you're using artificial light, you can use the indoor preset. If you're using a mixture of light, then you can set the white balance manually by moving the white balance switch to one of the presets A or preset B and then filling the frame with something that is white and then pressing the white balance button. Common mistakes with white balance are easily spotted. If your footage looks blue when you're shooting outside, then you've probably got the white balance set to an indoor preset. Similarly, if you're looking very orange when you're shooting inside, you probably got it set to an outdoor preset. This can be fixed in post-production, but the results aren't always perfect, so it's worth getting it right at source. Exposure. Exposure determines how much light is entering the camera and is controlled by 4 different elements. Firstly, there is the iris. By adjusting the iris, you can vary the amount of light entering the camera. You can use the iris manual stroke auto button to temporarily put the iris control into auto mode, then put it back into manual to stop the camera changing it. This is the same technique we use for push auto focus. Secondly, we have shutter speed. Very fast shutter speeds are great for seeing fast moving objects very clearly. So helicopter blades and tennis balls will seem clearer at higher shutter speeds. Lower speeds can be great for music videos. They are often used in documentaries to denote that the action on screen is a reconstruction. They can also give the actor's eye view if they are portraying someone on drugs, drunk or very ill. Leave the shutter speed at 50 for PAL cameras if you do not want to see any shutter effects. 50 is close to how the eye and the brain see the world. So set the shutter speed on 50 and keep it on manual. There's also gain. This adds lights digitally, and this is great help when you're shooting in very low light conditions. There are 3 levels of gain: low, medium and high, and you can set what these values are for these settings in the camera menu. Gain setup. So if you've opened the iris up fully and there's still not enough light, reach for the gain. If, however, you have too much light entering the camera, for example on a bright sunny day, you will need to add in a neutral density filter. These are like sunglasses for the camera. It adds a filter that reduces the amount of light entering the camera by a set amount. The Z1 has 2 levels of neutral density filters which can be switched on and off as needed. You can then fine-tune the exposure using the iris. You should always keep the iris, shutter speed and gain in manual mode. If you have one of them in auto mode, it will search and hunt while you change the other controls. For example, if you have gain set to auto, when you reduce the amount of light with the iris, the camera will add gain to the shot. Not something you want to happen. So keep them all in manual. Remember, the control is in manual mode when you see the icon appear on the screen.